Okay, so we had a little interruption, sorry. We were at the end of example 2C, I believe. And I think we had factored it. It's now been a little bit and since I've done it, so since I was doing that video. Oopsie. So I think we're in the, I'm just trying to get back to where we were. I think we're at m-2 here. And I think here we still had 18m squared. I think that's where we were when the last video shut off. So, we had already canceled out the m squares, I think, and we reduced 6 over 18 to 1/3. I'm pretty sure that's where we were. So now what we have left is an m-2 over a 3. Because we canceled everything out, and our excluded value, remember, was a 0. And so this is our final thing. Okay? All right, so let's move on to D. Remember, I like to do the excluded values as soon as I can because you're supposed to do those before you simplify. All right, so I'm going to do that first with D here, and that's a y and then a 7 minus y. So my excluded value, or the thing that would make the bottom equal to 0, would be 7 minus 7, right? That would make the bottom equal 0. So that's my excluded value. That's taken care of. Now I'm going to go ahead and simplify. Remember, I cannot simplify if this y, or the variable that I have here, is stuck with a number in an adding or subtracting problem, because this is really a totally different number. It's 7 minus whatever y is, which is not the same as y. So if this variable is kind of with, by adding or subtracting with a number, you cannot cancel it across this line, only if it's multiplying and dividing. So I can't actually cancel anything here. So this is a simple, already simplified, cannot be simplified anymore. Okay? All right, so let's move on to example number 3. All right, example number 3, we are supposed to simplify and give the excluded value. So we're going to go ahead and write it up here, 3x minus 10, and that's over x squared. Let's see, plus 6x plus 8. Okay. I cannot give the excluded value until I factor this, okay? Because I don't know off the top of my head, I can't figure out what numbers to plug in here to make this equal to 0. So I need to factor it first before. You can do the discriminant test if you want to. Remember, the b squared minus 4ac is our discriminant test to see if it even has an excluded value. So we could go ahead and do that. B squared would be 6 squared minus 4 times A times C. Well, that's 36, right? Minus 32, that's going to be 4. And since that's bigger than 0, we are going to have excluded values. So we can go ahead and factor. All right, let's go ahead and factor here. You guys are getting pretty good at this. So I hear you already telling me it's 2 and 4. Okay, and so that'd be x, the excluded values would be -2 and -4, right? Because they're opposite of what's in parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and write my excluded values, take care of that. Okay, now I can start simplifying. I'm going to replace that with what I factored. And then I'm going to factor this one. Whoopsie, I don't know why that parentheses was small. So I'm going to do x and x, 5 and 2, I think make 10, right? We're going to do a -5 and a +2 probably, right? Because that would make -3 when I add them, but -10 when I multiply them. Okay, so now, this is new. If I have the same parentheses, like I have x plus 2 in parentheses here, x plus 2 in parentheses here, that's the same number, right? It's x plus an additional 2. So really they're the same exact thing, so I can cancel those out. Just like an x over an x could be canceled out. An x plus 2 over an x plus 2, as long as they're separate, they can be canceled out. So what I have left is an x minus 5 over an x plus 4. I can't cross these x's out because they're tied together with this 5 right here. And this one's tied by adding and subtracting with this 4. So you can't cancel them out. The reason I could here is because they're multiplying, right? This one is getting multiplied by this. So I can cancel out this parentheses and this parentheses, no problem. Okay, so there's my simplified version. I already did my excluded values. We're done. Let's move on. Example number 4. All right, example number 4. We're almost done, you guys. It's important in this section to just do step by step and show your workout because it helps you not get confused about what you have and what you've canceled out and things like that. So go ahead and write down your problems and show your steps. Okay, so I'm going to rearrange this so that my x squared is first as I write it on the board. Okay, I don't like a negative exponent, a negative variable, so I'm going to go ahead and factor out a negative. And now it will be this, right? Okay. So remember, we probably are going to have to do some factoring to figure out what my excluded values are. So does anybody know what this is? This is a test from a while ago. We learned what these were. Hopefully somebody is picking up that this is a square, and this is a square, and this is the difference. So this is the difference of two squares. Maybe you're going, oh, now I remember those, right? I can hear you guys doing that. So that's a difference of two squares. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of this and just rewrite, because I can easily on the whiteboard here, what my parentheses are, okay? All right. Now, I think I should probably have to factor this one as well. But before I do that, remember, let's do our excluded values. I almost forgot. Our excluded values, what would make our parentheses here and here equal to 0? There's two numbers, right? A -4 for this one and a +4 for that one. All right. So those are my excluded values. Let's factor here. I have an x and an x. What makes 12? 3 and 4? Both negative? Would that work? All right, I think it would work. All right, so now look at this. This parentheses is the same as this one. So those cancel out. I love these because sometimes you cancel out everything and it's just like 1 when you're done. You're like, wow, how did I go from that craziness to 1? It's awesome. So I canceled those out. So what I have on the top is an x -3, and what I have on the bottom is an x +4. We do have a negative. I can just put that negative out front if you want, okay? Or some people like to write 4 minus x probably, but you don't need to worry about doing any of that, okay? I think we're done with that. Yeah, they just wrote it. I was just looking to see and making sure I was being consistent. You can write it in front of this one, or out front is usually where people write it, and you're done with that. Okay, so that's how we do these. Like I said, you can get lost with all of the numbers flying around on your paper. So just make sure you write your work down and go carefully step by step. And if you get stuck, give me a call. All right, you guys, good luck. Bye.